What if you woke up tomorrow able to command every word leaving your lips, each feeling rising in your chest, every coin you spend, and every idea flickering through your brain? Sounds like a superpower, doesn't it? But more than 2,000 years ago, a man who owned nothing, not even his own body, claimed this wasn't fantasy. It was the only path to genuine liberty. That man was Epictetus, born into chains. Pause and feel that. No authority over his limbs, no right to go where he pleased, no voice in his own fate. He belonged to another human. Yet somehow, this individual unearthed a truth, so potent it reshaped him from a captive into a legendary guide of inner and emotional emancipation. He declared, "Nobody can wound you without your consent." On the surface, that stings, especially for anyone enduring real suffering. But his deeper meaning was this: although we cannot always dictate what occurs to us, we hold absolute reign over our reactions, and inside that reaction lives our authentic power. Your reaction is your true territory. Most of us in this era aren't bound by physical chains, yet countless among us are imprisoned by our own runaway words, volatile moods, reckless buying, and chaotic thinking. We utter things we instantly wish we could take back. We let a bad morning poison the entire afternoon. We purchase what we cannot afford, chasing a fleeting high, and we let our brains race with anxiety, insecurity, and dread. But consider this. What if the very same insight that unchained a Roman slave could liberate you as well? What if the areas where you feel weakest, your speech, your emotions, your finances, your thoughts, could become your sharpest weapons? The ancient Stoics grasped a lesson we've lost. Real abundance isn't counted in bank accounts. It's measured in self-discipline. True might isn't dominating others. It's conquering your own impulses. And authentic freedom isn't infinite options. It's picking the right option again and again. Each sunrise, existence hands you a training ground. A driver cuts you off. That's your chance to restrain your tongue and temper. You're lured by an unnecessary purchase. That's your moment to seize command of your cash. Your brain starts looping through fear. That's your opening to take back your attention. The elegance of Stoic teaching is that it never demands flawlessness. Even Marcus Aurelius, the mightiest emperor of Rome, wrestled with the exact same battles. In his private diary, he wrote again and again, "You hold authority over your mind, not external events. Grasp this and you will discover power." This isn't about turning numb. It's about becoming so grounded in your core that outside turmoil cannot rattle you. Grounded minds outlast any storm. When you govern your tongue, you speak with purpose, not reflex. When you govern your emotions, you select your internal climate rather than being its casualty. When you manage your resources, they become instruments of calm, not wellsprings of panic. And when you master your mind, you turn into the scribe of your thoughts, not their captive. In the upcoming minutes, you'll acquire actionable strategies across these 4 domains of influence. We'll unpack age-old wisdom that's more urgent today than ever, and you'll leave with concrete techniques to apply at once. But here's the catch. This only works if you make a pledge. Every segment rests on the one before, so resist skipping ahead. Stay present through everything, and I promise this can reshape your existence. If you're prepared to reclaim the reins, hit that like button. Drop a note in the comments identifying which of the 4 M's challenges you most, and ensure you're subscribed, because this voyage toward self-mastery is merely beginning. Share this with somebody who requires it, because authentic power springs from within. And write this in the comments. I am the master of my mouth, mood, money, and mind. Number 1, master your mouth, the door to understanding. There's an ancient proverb, the tongue is a tiny spark, but it can set a forest ablaze. Yet, what many miss is that your speech isn't solely about harm to others. Every syllable you utter is either constructing or demolishing the person you're evolving into. Seneca, among Rome's premier Stoic thinkers, dedicated years to watching the dynamics of speech inside the Roman Senate. He witnessed careers soar and crash on a single sentence. He observed bonds fractured by careless remarks and alliances, woven through deliberate dialogue. But his deepest revelation came from self-observation. "Every fresh start arrives from some other start's ending," Seneca wrote, "and nothing illustrates this better than our words. Each time you talk, you're concluding one version of you and launching another. The real question, are you becoming someone you admire? Recall the most recent occasion. You fired off an angry remark and instantly regretted it. In that flash, you tasted the force of unchecked speech. Your words sprinted away before your judgment could catch them. Now picture seizing back that control. What if each word you spoke was selected, not merely leaked?" The Stoics crafted a straightforward yet deep habit: the deliberate pause. Before talking, particularly in charged moments, they would halt and pose 3 queries. Is this real? Is it useful? Is it compassionate? If any answer was no, they stayed quiet. But taming your tongue isn't only about suppressing negativity. It's about intentionally deploying uplifting words. When you offer a genuine compliment, you're not just brightening another's day, you're teaching yourself to spot goodness around you. When you voice encouragement, you're rewiring your own brain to seek possibilities instead of pitfalls. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his personal reflections, "Stand like a cliff against which the waves endlessly crash. It stays solid, and around it the roaring waters settle. Your measured speech can become that cliff for others. In a world of knee-jerk reactions, your thoughtful words turn into a refuge of tranquility and power. Here's a practice that will immediately upgrade your relationships. For the next week, before uttering anything in a heated exchange, inhale 3 slow breaths. On the first breath, identify what you're feeling. On the second, sense what the other person might be feeling. On the third, ask what words would uplift everyone involved. The remarkable effect of mastering your mouth is the feedback loop it creates. When you speak deliberately, people listen differently. They trust you more. Seek your advice and lean in closer. This isn't trickery. It's the natural outcome of becoming someone worth hearing. But maybe the greatest impact is on your self-relationship. Every time you honor a spoken promise, you build self-trust. Every time you talk kindly about yourself, you reshape your self-image. Every time you dodge gossip or complaining, you channel your mental energy toward what you can influence. Remember, your words don't just mirror your thoughts, they shape them. When you consistently speak of hope, gratitude, and insight, your mind begins to autopilot those patterns. You become what you repeatedly say. The mouth is the bridge between your inner universe and the outer one. Control this bridge, and you regulate the energy flow in both directions. Tomorrow, we'll see how this same logic applies to your emotional world. Affirm this below and set it as your daily reminder. I speak with power, not impulse. Number 2, master your mood, the internal atmosphere. Picture waking up each morning while someone else dictates the weather inside your head. Some days they'd select thunderous rage, other days hazy gloom, and occasionally, if fortunate, they'd grant you radiant cheer. This is exactly how most humans live, helpless before outside events. But here's what transformed my outlook, and what the Stoics realized millennia ago. You aren't a victim of your feelings. You are their source. Viktor Frankl, a psychologist who survived the Holocaust, endured years in Nazi camps. Amid the most unspeakable horror, he found a truth that echoes ancient Stoic teaching. Between a trigger and your reaction exists a gap. Inside that gap lies your freedom to choose. In your choice lives your growth. Think about that gap right now as you listen. That gap lives within you. Between every provocation and your emotional response, there's a slice of time, sometimes just a fraction of a second, where you hold total power to decide. The Stoics named this the discipline of desire. It's not about wanting less. It's about wanting what you already have, accepting what you cannot alter, and working hard on what you can. Once you master this, your mood becomes a finely tuned instrument you can play, rather than a hurricane that plays you. Here's a startling truth. Your emotions are not facts, they're interpretations. When someone fails to text you back quickly, the event itself is neutral. Your mind invents a story. They're ignoring you. They're angry, they don't care. But what if you fabricated a different narrative? What if they're swamped, their battery died, or they're preparing a surprise for you? Marcus Aurelius trained this daily. He wrote, "You hold power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Each morning he reminded himself that the day would bring irritations, difficult people and surprises. Instead of fearing them, he viewed them as chances to practice emotional mastery. Try this potent drill right now. Recall something that's been nagging at you. Then ask, what story am I telling myself about this situation? Next, what's an alternative way to see it? Finally, which interpretation serves my highest good? The magic unfolds when you recognize you've been writing the script of your emotional experience all along. You just didn't know you were the author. But mood mastery isn't about fake positivity or denying real pain. It's about picking responses that energize you instead of depleting you. When anger rises instead of squashing it or erupting, you can convert it into fuel for constructive change. When sadness visits rather than drowning, you can let it deepen your empathy and connection to others. The Stoics held a lovely evening ritual. Each night they'd review the day and ask, what emotions did I feel? Which served me? Which commanded me? How can I respond better tomorrow? Here's what occurs as you practice mood mastery. You stop fearing your feelings because you know you can handle them. You stop dodging tough situations because you trust your emotional navigation. You become the peaceful eye in others' hurricanes, making you indispensable in relationships and work. Remember, every emotion is information, not a command. Anger signals something matters. Fear signals you need to pay attention. Sadness signals you've lost something precious. But none of these feelings get to make your choices. Feelings are visitors, not rulers. Your mood is your personal climate system. And like a skilled meteorologist, you can learn to predict, prepare for, and even influence the weather in your mind. Type this below if you're ready to claim your emotional dominion. I control my emotions. They don't control me. Number 3, master your money, the instrument of liberty. Money reveals who you are more than nearly anything else. It's not just currency, it's solidified time, energy, and decisions. How you manage it determines whether you live as a free person or as a servant to your cravings. Seneca was among Rome's richest men, yet he wrote, "It's not the person who has too little, but the one who wants more, who is truly poor." This wasn't theoretical, he lived it. Despite his fortune, he often chose voluntary hardship, sleeping on a hard floor and eating plain food to remind himself that joy doesn't require luxury. Here's the uncomfortable reality many avoid. If you cannot regulate your spending, you cannot regulate your life. Every purchase either pushes you toward freedom or toward bondage. There is no middle ground. But money mastery isn't about stinginess or self-denial. It's about matching your spending to your core values and wielding money as a tool instead of being wielded by it. When you buy something because you're sad, bored, or seeking approval, money is using you. When you buy something because it genuinely enriches your life or helps you serve others, you're using money. The Stoics practiced something called preferred indifference, things generally nice to have, but not tied to your worth or happiness. Money fits that category. Better to have it than not, but it must never become your master. Think about your most recent impulse buy, the item now gathering dust somewhere. In that moment of purchase, what were you truly trying to acquire? The object itself, or a feeling, status, comfort, excitement, belonging? Here's a practice that will transform your relationship with cash. Before any non-essential purchase, stop and ask, what am I really buying here? If the answer is an emotion or experience, find a way to generate that feeling without spending money first. Often you'll realize you don't need the item at all. Yet true money mastery extends beyond curbing spending. It's about creating value. The Stoics believed in contributing to the common good. When you focus on helping others through your work, money becomes a natural side effect, not the primary aim. This mental shift alters everything about earning and using money. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake unwillingly, remind yourself, I am getting up to do the work of a human being." When you see your job as service, rather than just a paycheck, you bring excellence that naturally leads to greater financial rewards. Here's what revolutionized my own finances. I started tracking not just where my money went, but how I felt after each purchase. I kept 3 columns: item, reason, and post-purchase feeling. The discovery shocked me. The buys that gave lasting satisfaction always aligned with my values. Books that expanded my perspective, experiences with loved ones, tools that helped me help others. Meanwhile, impulse buys, status symbols, and emotional spending consistently left me hollow or remorseful. That simple practice gave me clarity no budgeting app ever could. Money mastery also means knowing the difference between assets and liabilities. Each dollar should either preserve your ability to earn more or boost your capacity to serve. Once you start thinking that way, you naturally build wealth instead of just consuming it. Remember, the goal isn't to hoard. It's to have enough freedom to be generous, to take calculated risks, and to decide based on what's right, rather than what you can scrape together. Number 4, master your mind, the control room. Your brain resembles a garden. Every thought you allow to linger is a seed you're planting. The only question, what harvest do you want to reap? Right now, as you listen, thousands of thoughts are battling for your focus. Worries about tomorrow, regrets from yesterday, judgments about this video, plans for later. Most people spend their lives as passive spectators of this mental chaos, never realizing they can select which thoughts deserve their energy. Epictetus taught his students, "Wealth is not having many possessions, but having few wants." He wasn't speaking only about material goods, meant mental wealth. When you stop entertaining every random thought that knocks on your awareness, you become incredibly rich in peace and concentration. Consider this. You would never let strangers wander into your home and rearrange your furniture. Yet you allow stray thoughts to invade your mind and redecorate your entire emotional state. A single negative idea can derail your whole day if you grant it permission to stay. The Stoics developed a technique called prososh, constant, alertness to the present and vigilant, monitoring of your thinking. It's not meditation as we commonly define it. It's more like being a security guard for your own consciousness, deciding which notions gain entry and which get turned away. Here's a practice that will alter your life immediately. For the next week, each time you catch yourself spiraling into negativity, stop and ask, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is it moving me toward who I want to become or away from it? If it's not serving you, deliberately replace it with a thought that does. But mind mastery isn't toxic, optimism, or ignoring real problems. It's selecting constructive thoughts over destructive ones. Instead of thinking, this is hopeless and I'm powerless, you think, this is tough and I need to find the best path forward. Same situation, completely different mental terrain. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "The universe is change. Life is what our thoughts make it." He knew that while he couldn't control Rome's enemies, political schemes, or even his own death, he held absolute sovereignty over his inner kingdom. Your mind constantly narrates stories about what events mean. Someone doesn't smile at you. Your brain invents a story of rejection. Traffic backs up. Your brain spins. A tale of being late and everything falling apart. Your boss requests a meeting. Your brain warns of trouble. But here's the power. You can rewrite those stories in real time. That unsmiling person might be fighting their own battles. Heavy traffic is a chance to practice patience or listen to something useful. Your boss might have good news. The ancient Stoics called this the discipline of judgment, separating raw facts from the fictions we attach to them. A fact, it's raining. A fiction, this rain is ruining my day. Once you master this distinction, you become formidable because your emotional state stops being dictated by external events. Try it now. Think of something stressing you. Separate the actual facts from the story you're telling yourself. You'll be amazed how much of your tension comes from the story, not the facts. Your mind is also a brilliant problem solver when you direct it properly. Instead of letting it race with worry, assign it specific puzzles to solve. Rather than asking, "What if everything goes wrong?" Ask, "What's the most effective way to handle this?" Your brain loves challenges, but it needs clear directions from you. Remember, every thought you think is either building the person you're becoming or tearing that person down. You are literally thinking yourself into existence each moment. Comment, "I'm the architect of my mind to claim my power." Number 5, the ripple effect. How mastery changes everything. Here's a beautiful truth that emerges when you start mastering these 4 domains. They don't just shift individually, they create a cascade that transforms your entire life experience. It's like tuning a musical instrument. When one string is perfectly adjusted, it makes all the others sound better too. When you master your mouth, people begin seeking your counsel because your words carry weight. When you master your mood, you become the calm anchor others gravitate toward in storms. When you master your money, you gain the freedom to decide based on values rather than desperation. And when you master your mind, you spot opportunities where others only see obstacles. But the real magic lives in the space between these pillars. Let me tell you about Sarah, a single mother who attended a workshop last year. She arrived utterly overwhelmed, drowning in debt, constantly snapping at her kids, terrified about the future, and trapped in negative thought loops that stole her sleep. 6 months later, Sarah sent a message that moved me to tears. By applying these principles, she had not only paid off her credit cards but started a small side business. Her relationship with her children had completely changed because she learned to speak from love instead of frustration. But most of all, she said she felt like herself again, calm, confident, and in command. The lovely thing about Stoic insight is that it creates what psychologists call an upward spiral. Each tiny victory in one arena gives you confidence to tackle challenges in another. When you successfully hold your tongue in a heated moment, you prove to yourself that you can also control your emotions. When you resist an impulsive purchase, you strengthen the same mental muscle that resists negative thoughts. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. The Stoics expanded this. They understood that mastery across these 4 areas produces a compounding effect. Each day of practice doesn't just improve that day, it makes every future day easier. Think about who you were 6 months ago. What were you struggling with then? Now imagine who you could be 6 months from now if you consistently applied these methods. The gap between who you are and who you could be isn't as wide as you think. It's just a chain of small daily decisions. Here's what I need you to understand. You don't have to be perfect at all 4 areas at once. Trying to do that often leads to frustration and quitting. Instead, pick one area that resonates most with you right now and focus there for the next 30 days. Let mastery in that zone naturally influence the others. The Stoics believed in sympatheia, the interconnection of all things. Your inner work doesn't benefit only you. It benefits everyone around you. When you become more controlled in your speech, you reduce conflict in your relationships. When you manage your emotions better, you create a more peaceful home for your family. When you handle money wisely, you model financial responsibility for your children. When you direct your thoughts constructively, You become a source of solutions rather than problems. But perhaps the deepest ripple effect is how mastery transforms your relationship with difficulty itself. Instead of seeing challenges as things that happen to you, you start seeing them as chances to exercise your mastery. Every hard conversation becomes an opportunity to practice mouth control. Every stressful scenario becomes an opportunity for mood mastery. Every financial choice becomes practice for money wisdom. Every worry becomes a chance to redirect your mental energy. This shift from victim to practitioner changes everything about how you experience life. Comment below if you're ready to turn every challenge into strength. Every challenge is my chance to grow stronger. We began this journey with Epictetus, a man who went from physical slave to spiritual teacher. His secret wasn't changing his situation, it was mastering himself within that situation. Today, you have the same choice he made more than 2,000 years ago. You now understand that true freedom isn't endless options, it's making the right options consistently. You've learned that your mouth, mood, money, and mind aren't separate categories, and they're connected pillars that either support your growth or weaken it. But here's what I want you to remember most. This isn't about being flawless, it's about being intentional. Every time you pause before speaking, you're practicing mouth mastery. Every time you choose your response to a hard emotion, you're developing mood mastery. Every time you align your spending with your values, you're building money wisdom. Every time you redirect a negative thought, you're strengthening your mental sovereignty. The ancient Stoics faced wars, plagues, political upheaval, and personal tragedies. They didn't have easy lives, but they possessed something better. Unshakable inner strength rooted in mastering these 4 fundamental areas. That same strength is available to you. Your transformation starts with one decision, the decision to accept responsibility for your inner world. Not because life is fair, it isn't. Not because it's easy, it won't be. But because you deserve to live as the commander of your own experience, not as a victim of circumstances. One decision can rewire your destiny. 6 months from now, you'll either be the same person with the same struggles, or you'll be someone who has learned to move through life with wisdom, intention, and inner power. The choice is completely yours, and the moment to make it is now. Remember Epictetus's words, "Nobody can hurt you without your permission." Today you revoke that permission. Today you begin the shift from reaction to response, from chaos to control, from bondage to freedom. The 4 pillars of mastery await you. Your future self is counting on you, and somewhere in the timeless realm of ideas, the ancient Stoics are cheering you onward. Take the first step. Start today. Start now. If this message resonated with you, smash that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Drop your commitment in the comments below and subscribe to Stoic Path Daily for more life-changing wisdom. Your journey to mastery begins now.